The 15th pick, and with the 26th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins, Montez Sweat.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sistren. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report. So, I've taken a couple of days off and recharged the battery per se. It's a bye week, so not a lot's going on. I won't say I took the week off totally, but in any event, I was able to allow some stories to develop. I think we've got a couple of things to talk about, some items to hit on, and then we'll jump into the discussion tonight. Allow you guys to dominate the topic of discussion. You guys can call in. I'll put the number in the chat discussion. Once again, I failed to upload the number. But anyway, I'm going to pull up Twitter real quick because there's something I want to read from there. And someone sent me a really good piece of information that I want to share with you guys. So I'm going to pull it up. And I'm going to read that. That's concerning Kevin O'Connell. But I want to start first with a couple of key items. One, Dwayne Haskins reportedly, this hasn't been confirmed, but multiple sources have reported that Dwayne Haskins will, in fact, get the start in week number 11 off the bye at home versus the Jets. Makes a ton of sense. Really, he should be starting the remainder of the season, but I told you I'm going to take it 1 week at a time because we're dealing with old man Callahan, and all bets are off with him. So I don't want to just make an assumption and say that it's going to be for the remainder of the season. Just take it 1 week at a time. Let's hope that, in fact, he is going to name Dwayne. We haven't heard anything from old man Callahan, the interim head coach. So until that actually takes place, which I'm assuming that's going to happen maybe Monday, Tuesday, sometime next week, whenever that first presser is to kick off week 11 for the Redskins. I think that's probably going to be Tuesday if I'm not mistaken. But in any event, I'm hoping that's when we hear officially that, in fact, Dwayne Haskins is going to get the nod. But everyone's reporting, all the different media outlets that we've heard from are pretty much reporting that Dwayne Haskins is going to get the start week 11 versus Jets. That will be his first home start of his career, second official start for him in his NFL career, and looking forward to that if, in fact, that is the case. In other Redskins news, Trent Williams was officially put on the NFI list, the non-football injury list, which means he is done for the season. The Redskins don't have to pay him another cent, and they haven't paid him anything this season. And Trent told you in his presser that he wasn't looking for another dime from this organization. And so I think this is a mutual parting of ways, essentially. The Redskins don't have to pay Trent Williams. Trent Williams doesn't have to be here. I think everybody got what they wanted, essentially, at the end of the day. Now all the Redskins are left to do is trade Trent in the offseason, and I think that will be the final domino that drops here. Obviously, if you haven't heard, the Redskins had filed a grievance that was going to be heard, essentially asked for all of the information of Trent's handling over the last 6 years to be looked at by a third party. Trent and the NFLPA, and Trent pretty much advised them that he doesn't want to relive this situation. It sounds fishy. Sounds like Trent doesn't want some things to come out. At the end of the day, I really don't care. Trent should have been traded. This should have been a non-issue. It is what it is. The Redskins are trying to clear their name. Trent wants to move on. At the end of the day, I think most Redskins fans are at the point now where you're going to believe what you want to believe, whether it's Trent or it's the organization or somewhere in between, which I think is probably where the truth really lies in this situation. At the end of the day, no one really cares at this point. Trent said what he needed to say. The organization is where they are at this point. Everybody move on, trade Trent, get the compensation, and wash our hands clean of that situation. So Trent done for the year officially. We already knew he wasn't going to play another game for the Washington Redskins. This just makes it official. So that is done as well. And then last but not least, Darius Guice officially added to the 53-man active roster. The Redskins demoted Robertson and gave Darius Guice the go-ahead to get back onto the roster. He had been practicing, but it's official now. He was added to the active roster yesterday, and so expect Darius Guice to be ready. Again, barring any setbacks, as I've always said with him, look for him to be in the lineup in Week 11 versus the Jets. How many opportunities will he get to touch the football? That remains to be seen. We'll talk about that as the night progresses. I'm going to assume right now, just to give you a little insight as to where I'm thinking with this Guice situation, I'm thinking that because you're dealing with Callahan, who absolutely loves an AD and has every reason to. AD has been the one guy outside of Terry McLaurin that has given this Redskins team any kind of offensive production this season. So AD is Callahan's guy. He's going to continue to ride with him. So I don't see that changing. I do see guys getting a few series here and there, a couple of opportunities. But if you're looking for him to be the bell cow like he would have been had Gruden been here, you're sadly mistaken. And frankly, after the way the last couple of opportunities for guys to play have gone, where he's gotten injured each of the last 2 times we've seen him in action, I'd like it if he just is eased back into this situation. Or 2 out of the last 3 times. He didn't get hurt versus Atlanta in the preseason, but he did get hurt the first time we ever saw him versus New England in the preseason 2 years ago or last year. And he got hurt week 1 versus the Philadelphia Eagles this year. So the last 2 out of 3 times we've seen Guice, he's gotten injured. So I'd really like them to scale back his opportunities and slowly work him back in. And if anybody knows anything about slowly working someone in, it's Bill Callahan. So expect old man Callahan to roll with AD and keep it that way. So I anticipate Guice will be active. Guice will get some touches, but I don't think it will exceed 10 in this game. I think it'll be somewhere in that 7 to 9 neighborhood in terms of rushes and catches combined for him. We may actually get Chris Thompson back as well and Vernon Davis back as well, which will all help this offense and help a guy like Dwayne Haskins out in Week 11 and possibly moving forward. And I told you I wanted to talk about Kevin O'Connell. And so here is a tweet that I received from @Redskins_blog11. And he asked me what my thoughts were on this. And he got this tweet from Burgundy Blog, @BurgundyBlog on Twitter. And it was an article that was written in The Athletic by Ben Standig, who covers all of the DC sports. He just got on the Redskins beat about a year ago or so. And he asked Kevin O'Connell in an article he wrote about his involvement in the offense, because it just seems like it's not imaginative enough. It's not creative enough. It doesn't seem like an offense that would be run by a guy that is an understudy of a Sean McVay, of a Kyle Shanahan. It just doesn't have that feel. And I already told you, I didn't believe that this was the work of Kevin O'Connell. I refuse to believe that, because I know what a Kyle Shanahan, what a Sean McVay offense is supposed to look like. We've seen that for the last 7 or 8 years. And obviously the last 2, Sean McVay has been in Los Angeles, but I haven't stopped watching him. So I know what that offense is supposed to look like. This is not it. So I told you, I refuse to believe that what we were seeing was anything more than Bill Callahan with his thumb all over this offensive game plan and what the play calls were going to be on a weekly basis. And now we get confirmation of this. I'm going to read you an excerpt from this article from Ben Standig's article in The Athletic from an interview that he had with Kevin O'Connell. And I read in open quote, it says, "When Bill became the head coach and I assumed the role every single week, my job is the coordinator." So close quote. So Kevin O'Connell essentially said, when he got the job as OC, he assumed that he would be able to design this offense and a game plan on a weekly basis that would help the Redskins try to win. That was his thought. He assumed that he would get control over the offensive play calling. He was sadly mistaken. He goes on to say, "It may not be my offense on game day because the head coach has a way he wants to play the football game. try to play complementary football with the other two phases, defense and special teams, close quote. So O'Connell told him that it's not his game plan that you're seeing, and it's not his play calling that you're seeing on game days. It's the head coach. He's essentially telling you as much verbatim. He said, but Ben Standing also noted that there was zero frustration in the response from the upbeat O'Connell. He said the 6'4", smiling and confident OC had a presence with leading man quality. So he's saying that he has the feel of a guy that could be a head coach someday. Don't know if that someday is in the near future with the Redskins or not. But then we go back to O'Connell and he says, open quote, "It's hard to put a percentage on it," close quote. O'Connell said when asked how much of the offense we're watching in Washington was his, okay? He said it's hard to put a percentage on it. How much of the offense we're seeing each week that is actually him. It's hard to put a percentage on it, which tells you that it's not a lot, okay? If it were 75%, he'd be able to tell you, the vast majority of what you see is me. You know, I get input from the coach. That's 75, 80%. He's telling you right now, 15, 20, maybe 10%, somewhere in there is him. I told you the one game that felt like Kevin O'Connell was the Minnesota game, first half, okay? That's the only game. Miami didn't feel like him. It didn't feel like him versus the San Francisco 49ers. It didn't feel like him last week versus Buffalo. And so this is O'Connell speaking again. Open quote. "It's hard to be exactly what you want to be as the coordinator. You still want to operate with what's in the best interest of the team, and that gets laid out by the head coach." Closed quote. So he's telling you pretty much word for word that I'm not calling the plays, and it's hard for me to establish my identity onto the team, and it's hard for me to get across what I envision for this team when the coach is essentially telling you what he wants run and done. So if that's not proof to you guys that this isn't KOC, I don't know what else is. He's essentially telling you that he has nothing to do with what is being called other than he's sending the play in to the quarterback, whether it be Case Keenum or now Dwayne Haskins. He's just simply sending the plays in. I told you there's no way Kevin O'Connell is running the football 13 straight plays. There's no way Kevin O'Connell is running the football 9 straight plays. That's not how Sean McVay, that's not how Kyle Shanahan, that's not how those guys are wired. That's where he learned to call plays. So it just didn't make sense to me. Now you have the proof that you need that this isn't Kevin O'Connell. This is all the doing of old man Callahan. Just in case you guys didn't know that. And I told you I already knew that. But once again, big shout out to @Redskins_blog11 for bringing that one to my attention. I really do appreciate that. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead, open up the phone lines for you guys, and give you guys an opportunity to call in. You guys know I don't know the number by heart, so bear with me as I try to locate the number and put it in the chat. I think this is the number. I hope this is not the wrong number. If somebody else has the number, put it in, please, because I don't want to give out the wrong number, but I'm going to give it a run and put a number in here. I hope it's the right number. Call it at your own risk, okay? All right, so with that being said, there's the number. I think that's the right number. Don't shoot me if it's not the right number. It's something like that. If you have the right number, put it in the chat discussion, please. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to read your comments. If you're out there, you want your comment read, use the hashtag LouieTLive. We'll get to as many of these comments as we can possibly get to. But the phone lines are now open. Again, hopefully that's the right number that I put in there. If it's not, if someone else has the number, I'd really appreciate it if you put the number in here in the chat discussion. Anyway, so got our first call of the night. We're going to go ahead and take that. You're on live with your man Louie T. Who am I speaking with? Okay. So, I'm gonna read some comments then. So the 20th Mike says, I don't dress him, but get him ready for next year. Train his body so he can play a full game. What was the last time our season was dead in the beginning of November? I'm pretty sure it hasn't been that long ago. Maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, max. I mean, it felt like under Kirk that we didn't have these issues where seasons were dead in October. But I know back in probably 2014, season was dead in early October, I want to say, with Griffin. That was the first year of Kirk. Griffin getting an opportunity. But, yeah, I think 15 was the you like that season when we made the postseason. 16, we were in it until week 17, lost to the Giants. And then 17, I don't think we were actually dead until that New Orleans game. I think it was when our season officially died. We lost Chris Thompson. We blew a 14-point lead late in that game. That's when that season died. So, no, it wasn't November, any of the Kirk years. And then 18, which was last year, obviously we started off 6-3, so the season wasn't dead in November or October. So it's been probably since 2014 that we've had one of these seasons where it was dead on arrival in November. But any event, you got to get Haskins on the field. I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, the only way he's going to be able to get stronger is by playing. If he's healthy. Now, if he's not 100%, then he doesn't need to play. I'm with you on that. If he feels like he's 100% and he's good to go, put him out there, see what happens. That's how I feel at this point. Let's see. See if we got any more comments. Let's see. Just Andre says, what would be your reaction if the Skins drafted a quarterback with their first round pick? It would be extreme disappointment just from the standpoint of, especially if we get a top, 3 pick. I'd be really disappointed because the Redskins need help at other positions. And I don't feel like at this point, even if Dwayne plays the final 7 games of the season and that would make it a total of 8, you still, I don't think, would have a large enough sample size to be able to correctly and accurately project what he's going to be. We could all make assumptions, but as I mentioned, there's always that Jared Goff model that's hanging up out there that makes it impossible for you to feel like, oh, we can just move on from this guy. Saw 8 starts, he stunk, he's trash, let's move on. You can't say that because we saw the right man get the job in Los Angeles and turn Jared Goff around. So there's always that possibility here if Dwayne were to stink it up in these final 8 games. And so I wouldn't be a big fan of that. I actually would be really disappointed. You're on live with your man Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, this is DMV fan 123.
What's going on, DMV fan?
Yeah, so gonna touch on Trent, then Dwayne, and then the draft, all right?
All right, let's try to make it as fast as possible so we can get more callers in.
Yeah, all right. So Trent, it's just a disgusting situation to me, from the tumor on his head to Bruce Allen's handling of the situation. It's made me ashamed to be a Redskins fan at times, And this would be cause for dismissal from any other organization, but Dan Snyder, Bruce Allen, that whole relationship. And for the people that want Bruce Allen gone, I don't think it's going to happen, and this situation is showing you why.
Yep, I'm 100% with you on that.
And Dwayne, so many people in this fan base are condemning him, already want us to draft Tua or Joe, and, you guys need to slow your roll, man. Just have some patience. You know, Kirk, people love Kirk. I know you love Kirk, but even Kirk, he was throwing picks left and right, 2013, 2014, and then he got experience, he got coaching, and then he was able to take off from there. So I just want this fan base to preach patience. You know, it's not like we're going anywhere this year, but and even next year, just wait. And if he doesn't show us anything in 2020, we're probably going to be 3-13, 4-12 next year. So we can pick it up at Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. We'll be able to do that. So
exactly. I'm 110% with you on that one as well. Like, the patience has always been my thing. You know what I mean? Like, got to give this guy an opportunity. I've given examples, Jared Goff. I've given out the Kirk Cousins example, as you just did, where he struggled initially. And you just got to give these guys time. Everybody doesn't mature at the same rate. And everybody was crowning Baker Mayfield last year after his few starts. And now look at what he's doing this year. I mean, it's hard to say what's going to happen. You just got to give these guys opportunities to play and learn and grow. And you'd like it to be in the same system, you know, but there's no guarantee that that's going to even be the case for Dwayne. He could be in a brand new system with new terminology, with a new play caller next year. And that would be his third play caller, third offensive coordinator, essentially, and his second head coach, third head coach in just 2 years. So, and then you said you had something on Guice?
the draft.
Oh, the draft.
So,
Draft. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I've been looking at. I watched every Ohio State game, and Chase Young, man, he looks like. I think he's better than both. I don't think he's better than Myles Garrett, but you know, if we're picking that, I haven't heard one argument from anyone that's been able to dissuade me from wanting to pick that guy up.
Yeah.
If we're on the board at 2,
Yep.
even trading down, I don't want to trade down.
Right.
Nothing. Take that guy.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too. I feel the same way. The only way I would trade out of the pick is if we have the number 1 pick and we're trading back to 2. That's it. Like, or I would trade back to 3 if the first 2 teams in the draft need quarterbacks, and I know they're taking a quarterback. If I cannot be guaranteed of that, then I want no parts of trading back, because I, like you, want Chase Young. I don't know if he's better than both of the Bozas or not, but I know he is right there with them. And I'm with you. I want that guy so bad, and I can feel it. Like, we're gonna be right in a position to get him. We just can't botch it. So
Yeah, man. That's all I wanted to talk to you about. I've been trying to get on for so long. So I saw an opening because no one was calling in.
yeah, I'm glad you were able to get in, man. I appreciate you chiming in, man. Redskins fan, I've been waiting to talk to you too, man. I always talk to you in the comment section, so it's good to finally get a chance to talk to you on the air, man. So, hey, keep hanging in there, man, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
No doubt. All right, so back to the comment section we go. And let's see what we got. All right. Where did I leave off at? Yikes. All right, got a call. Going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
Hello, Louie T. This is JP. How you doing?
What's going on, JP?
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, JP?
What's going on, man? It's good to hear from you. It's been a while.
Likewise.
So I got a couple of things I wanted to say about the team. I saw that we got Guice healthy and back and ready to go against the Jets, and Haskins that might start against the Jets as well. I also want to say a few things about Trent Williams. First thing is that, he was put on he was put on the non-football injury list, and that he's going to sit the rest of the season. I said it myself for a couple week that there was no way in hell he was going to play for us again.
Yeah, I think everybody felt that way a long time ago, and there was never going to be another situation where he was going to be on the field.
My opinion is that his relationship with the organization I don't think it can be salvaged unless we get Bruce Allen out of here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I still don't think even if we do get rid of Bruce, I still don't think he's going to come back. In my opinion, the relationship with him and the team is pretty much unsalvageable at this point. So I expect them to probably get him, find him a new team probably probably before or after the Super Bowl, but I expect them to play with another team next year.
Yeah, well, they can't trade him until the new league year, so it won't be until March. They can announce a trade, but it won't become official until March.
Yeah, they could get a trade done, but it can't be official until March, exactly. But I think the Browns are going to probably be his number one suitor. They've been the offensive line over there stinks, so I think giving Mayfield a veteran left tackle who has experience like a Trent and would probably do wonders so Mayfield doesn't have to continue to run for his life. So.
Absolutely.
And in my opinion, I feel bad for the guy. I'm sad because he's probably one of my favorite players on the team, and that we have to let him go. But the thing is, with the stuff that's going on with the front office and how they're running things right now, there's absolutely no way a highly touted prospect or a free agent will want to come to this organization. I just don't see it unless something changes.
I mean, you'll get guys to come here if the Redskins are offering the most money and the best opportunity. If they have similar opportunities and the Redskins are slightly above the rest of the opportunities in pay, then they might go elsewhere, like Clinton Dix. The Redskins offered him more money than the Bears. He just was like, hey, I got a taste of this place. It's dysfunctional. I want to actually have a chance to win and actually be utilized correctly. I'm out of here. So it's not always about money, but if it's a much better deal here than anywhere else, like the Landon Collins situation, you still might get guys to come here.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't want to have to get guys to come here just because of the money. I want guys to come here if we're a winner. Unfortunately, we're not a winner right now, and it's going to be a while before we can be winners again.
Right.
But I think we're going to probably get somebody. I don't know who it is. I think we might end up with a free agent. I think maybe one of these receivers that are going to hit free agency may take a look at if Haskins plays well. They're going to be like, hey, we see some potential in this kid. I think we can develop a good rapport with him. And we can get in sync, and we can win some games, and maybe some playoff games. So we got to see how Haskins does first, honestly. And the thing I want to say about Guice, I'm hoping that we don't have another injury-prone player on this team. I mean, we've got enough of those guys already. Obviously, Jordan Reed is one of them. And I actually want to see Guice. I actually like Guice as a Tigers fan. And I thought he was a great replacement for Fournette while he was injured, and then he was the lead guy after Fournette left for the NFL. But he's got to stay healthy. I think this kid can be really good. I don't know if he can be. I'm not saying he has to be John Riggins, but I think he has to be good. But I think he can be good enough. Same with Bryce Love. Neither of those guys have to be a Hall of Fame back or anything. We just need them to be good enough to help us win. But I'm not sure if they're going to be good enough to be featured backs, though.
Right. We're going to see, man. It's hard to assess and evaluate someone when they're never healthy. So, as you stated, you just need them to stay healthy, man. That's priority number one.
Exactly. The one thing I want to say, I didn't get the chance to talk about Haskins. Man, I'm so glad that we're finally getting this kid on the field. I mean, well, to start, that is. And he needs to stay the start of the rest of the season. And so that way we can get some experience. Because we want to see... Because we're going to have a whole new coaching staff next year. I don't expect a good amount of these coaches to be back. The only guys I expect to see back are probably O'Connell, Tom Sula, and probably Callahan. But I think they're going to move him back to we get our new coach up in here, he has to have enough game film to evaluate Haskins and see if he's got this, he can be our star for our quarterback of the future, because it's just a matter of getting a guy that believes in Haskins and coaching him up. Like we saw what happened with the Rams. The only difference was that Jeff Fisher was not the coach for Jared Goff, and he just basically kept him on the bench, didn't put him in until against the Dolphins week 10, and that he was set up to fail in that rookie season. Jared Goff was. And then when they got Sean McVay, the kid just absolutely took off like a bottle rocket. I could see the same thing happening with Dwayne Haskins.
First of all, let's hope he doesn't play that poorly. Like, Jared Goff was awful in his rookie season. Let's hope that Haskins doesn't play that poorly, and that we can actually see the promise that gives us hope for the future and makes us want to go out and surround him with talent so that we can start building this roster the right way. But it's hard to say now because we just don't know what this coaching staff is going to do here in the present time. And to get us to next season, he could easily go back to the bench 3 weeks from now dealing with Callahan. So it's hard to say. But anyway, hey, JP, appreciate you calling in, man. Going to get to some more callers, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, no problem. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, bye.
So let's get to some more comments. Protect Sports says, only way we can get the full potential out of our young quarterback is to make O'Connell the head coach, or get Tomlin, or keep Kevin as the OC. I think you have a realistic shot at 2 out of those 3 things happening. I think 1 out of those 3 things is probably the more likely to happen, and that's O'Connell stays on as offensive coordinator. But depending on who the coach is, I think the only way O'Connell is able to stay on as your offensive coordinator is if it's a defensive-minded head coach who's a retread, that is just desperate to get back in and will take anybody, as his offensive coordinator, because he's just like a Rex Ryan, for instance. He'd probably take anybody as his offensive coordinator. He just wants back in as a head coach. So he'd be willing to say, because if the Redskins sat him down and said, look, you can have the job, but you're going to have to take Dwayne Haskins as your quarterback, and you're going to have to take Kevin O'Connell as your offensive coordinator. He'd be like, yeah, cool, I'll do that. I'll just run the defense. But if you're looking for Mike Tomlin, you see the job he's doing in Pittsburgh? With all the injuries, with no Roethlisberger, they're back to 500. Remember, they started the season off 0-4. They're 4-4 now. Like, if you thought there was a chance the Redskins were getting their hands on Tomlin, you can cancel that. You can kiss it goodbye. He's not going anywhere, all right? It's not happening. But O'Connell as the head coach, I think that dream died as well the day that he got the offensive coordinator gig, but Callahan got the head coaching gig. You can't make this guy the head coach when you don't even know what this guy's philosophy really is, even though we know what it is in theory and in principle, but we haven't seen empirical proof, tangible evidence on the field that this guy has a rapport with Dwayne Haskins and that this offense can run smoothly under Kevin O'Connell. So I don't think you can even give him the head coaching job and give him the nod. I don't know if I would even have a problem with that, but I think the one thing that you could see happening out of those 3 scenarios is Kevin O'Connell being the Redskins offensive coordinator. No matter whom the next head coach is, he could be a guy that is thrusted upon that new head coach, say, here's the guy that's going to call the plays. But again, if you get an offensive-minded head coach to come in here, they're going to want to call the plays, and that's going to render a guy like Kevin O'Connell meaningless, essentially. He will be in that same role that he was in under Jay Gruden, where essentially he's on the staff, has the title in theory, but he's not actually calling the plays. So I think there's a realistic possibility that none of those 3 things happen. O'Connell isn't the head coach. Tomlin definitely isn't coming here. And there's a chance that O'Connell is not even your offensive coordinator. So there's a lot of ways that this thing could go. We'll see. I'm just disappointed because I really wanted to see what Kevin O'Connell had in store for this offense potentially. And we're really not going to get a chance to see that now that Bill Callahan has such a death grip on this offense. It's ridiculous. Anyway, Let's get back to some more comments. Let's see. Gregory Lightbody says, what is going on with McLaurin? He should have over 600 yards right now. I mean, what do you mean what's going on with McLaurin? The offense is, it is what it is. The teams, again, you got to remember these other NFL teams get paid too. They're not dummies, all right? It's one thing to sneak McLaurin past people the first 5-6 weeks of the season when nobody's paying attention because we stink. But now, if you're going to beat the Redskins and you're going to shut down this offense like everybody else is doing, then you just follow the blueprint, which is let's bracket coverage, let's double coverage Terry McLaurin, all right? He can't be the one to beat us. The Dolphins game, we scored 2 touchdowns. Who scored the 2 touchdowns? Remember, it was the last 2 touchdowns that we've scored. It was Terry McLaurin. If McLaurin doesn't score, we're probably not going to score. You don't think other teams realize that? It is what it is. Other guys have to step up, and we have to get more creative with our play calling. If you want to get Terry free, you're going to have to find ways to get him the football. They haven't done that. So it's a combination of other teams taking McLaurin away and us taking him away as well because we're not being creative. There was no excuse for McLaurin not to have 7 or 8 targets last week with the run game working the way that it did in the first half. He was supposed to eat and eat good. I mean, there was supposed to be so many targets to go around off the run. Last week, it's not even funny. And the fact that there weren't more opportunities, and that's not necessarily pushing it deep, but more bootlegs and more opportunities off the run. The Bills were committing 8-9 guys in the box, and we were still running the damn ball, and we saw it. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's see. Let's get back to where we left off, and I'm trying to find that. Here we go. Arnie Ray says, what is with the new trend of rushing quarterbacks to be great right away? Brett Favre was traded after his first season. Who knew he would be who he is today? I've said that all along. It's this new way of thinking. It's how society is. I think social media is a big, huge part of that because everything is instant gratification. Everybody wants to be able to feel good about something now. Like, I'm a guy that, I'll give you an analogy. I'm a guy that I will make a purchase at the store. Let's just go with clothing or shoes. Every year, I go to the Timberland outlet. I buy a pair on Black Friday, okay? I go and buy a pair of Timberland field boots. They're my favorites. I go and I stash them away for next year. They're not going to be worn until next year, all right? I always like to have one in the chamber. I will go to the outlet. I will go to different stores. I will buy clothing. I won't wear them for months. All right. I can stash them away. I don't have to wear them right away. I don't need the instant gratification of putting on the clothes that I just bought. I don't need validation right away. I know that those items that I selected are really good. I feel confident that when I do decide to put them on, I'm going to feel just as good as the day that I bought them. All right. But we have this need now in society today where we want instant gratification. We pick the guy, we want him in right away. And if he's not good right away, he stinks. Let's get a new guy in here next year. Like, that is asinine. That's no way to run your business. That's no way to run an organization. But that's what you're seeing now. Everyone, and it's not just the Redskins. We're not the only team that is looking to fall, and really fan base. I don't think the organization in any way, shape, or form is moving on from Dwayne Haskins. He could look horrible for the final 7 games of the season. There is no way that Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen, who handpicked this guy against the wishes of the scouting personnel, are going to take another quarterback in the first round. They're just not going to do it. So, but it's more of the fan base. It's more fans around the league. What Arizona did, I thought they set a dangerous precedence when they moved on from Josh Rosen last year. Because now people think that's the norm. That's what you're supposed to do. Josh Rosen stinks. Get him out of here. Now everybody thinks that's what you're supposed to do. I actually feel bad for Josh Rosen. He got a raw deal. He's never going to be successful in this league now because he got shipped off out of Arizona to Miami to a situation that wasn't conducive for him. They're looking to get their own guy. They really didn't want Rosen, but they threw him in there anyway. Traded a second-round pick. Said, we'll see if this guy can handle the situation that we have going on. And if he does, and he proves himself to be an elite quarterback, hell, we got ourselves a steal now. We don't need a quarterback. But we're still going with the mindset that we need a quarterback in 2020's draft. And so we'll bring in Rosen and see what he's about. But we're still going to draft the quarterback. They quickly gave up on Rosen. They haven't seen anything from him. In that short period of time, keep in mind that situation in Arizona that he was in was a train wreck. He moves to another train wreck situation in Miami. Now he's been labeled a bust, and he'll really never get another opportunity to start in this league. And it's unfortunate, but that's how it goes now with the way that this culture that has been cultivated is and exists. It's ridiculous. I can't stand it. You know how I feel about that already, though. Ninja Scroll says, not only are they holding back Dwayne Haskins, but they're also holding back Kevin O'Connell from showcasing his talents as an offensive coordinator and possibly a candidate for a head coach. Again, I feel that same way, and that's why I wanted O'Connell promoted to head coach. And I get it. I understand that it's not a job you just give out as interim head coach. You don't just give it to a random, but I've seen teams do it before. I saw the Dolphins give it to Dan Campbell as a tight ends coach. He had never coached a day in his life, as a head coach. But they gave it to Dan Campbell. And not to say that he did a good job. He was awful. But still, I've seen guys in lesser positions. This was our offensive coordinator. It's not like we were bringing up the quarterback's coach or the quality control assistant to be the head coach. This is a guy that was our offensive coordinator, and we think he's got a shot. But this is the thing. This is Bruce's guy. You know what I mean? The frustrating part is, and did you guys hear the report this week that stated that Callahan told the Redskins brass, Bruce and Dan, that he wasn't going to take the job unless he got full autonomy over the roster, full say-so over what was done with the roster, who was starting, this, that, and the third. And they gave him full autonomy so that he would become the Redskins interim head coach for the remainder of the season. Like, no, he's Bill Callahan. You don't give him that kind of control for what? Like, I'm just disappointed because essentially they gave him the keys to be able to start Case Keenum at any point that he wants for the remainder of the season. That's dumb. Anyway, I'm with you that we're not getting to see the full spectrum of what Kevin O'Connell is capable of because he's being throttled by Bill Callahan. It's really frustrating. Anyhow, Daquan Smith says, I want a draft pick back. I want a draft pick, trade that shot back. We're going to get something back for Trent, so you don't have to worry about. It's just a matter of what. Now, if you're talking about Dwayne, no, that's not happening. And nor should it. We don't need to move on from him. Let's see. All right, so I see no more comments, and there are no more calls coming in. So with that being said, we're going to be able to cut this thing short. So to recap, Guice is active, ready to rock and roll. I think his amount of touches will be limited right away. And unless something happens to AD during the course of this season, I can't see him ever taking over the lead back position while Callahan is here. He loves AD, and AD actually deserves it. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Adrian Peterson is under contract for 2020 as well. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic this offseason if he is, in fact, to come back with Guice on the roster, with Bryce Love coming back off of injury. We don't know if the Redskins are going to add another back in the draft. What are they going to do with Chris Thompson? I believe his deal is up this offseason. So many questions at the running back position. Not a lot of definitive, concrete answers at this point. So that's also something to keep in mind. It looks like Haskins is going to get the start. I'm pleased by that news. Again, it hasn't been confirmed by Bill Callahan, but all the sources right now are reporting that. Hopefully that is in fact the case. Again, that's the only reason to watch Redskins football at this point is Dwayne Haskins and his development of the remainder of the season. And I talked about Kevin O'Connell. not getting an opportunity to really call plays. I talked about an excerpt from an article written by Ben Standick in The Athletic where he interviewed Kevin O'Connell, and O'Connell essentially said, I'm not getting a chance to call what I want to call and put my imprint on this offense. I'm essentially being handcuffed by the head coach, and I'm okay with that, you know? Got a call, going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, this is Damon from Jersey.
What's going on, Dane?
Hey, nothing. Just wanted to talk with you real quick about the Skins.
All right, man. Let's talk.
First off, I wanted to say you're President Redskins fan, man. Appreciate everything you're doing every day, man, with the Redskins talk, man. Everything with the nightly news, man. You're doing a blessing, man. You don't even know.
Appreciate it, man. No doubt.
First off, so I wanted to ask you, man. I know we always talk about Tom possibly getting in here, which is a long shot. But if he is indeed Dan Snyder's number one as prospect that he would like to get, do you think if Tomlin was given the full say-so, do you think that would be enough to get Bruce Allen out of the office if Tomlin was willing to come on board if he was released by the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I think if Tomlin mandated that, if Tomlin said, I won't come work for you unless Bruce Allen is out of there, I think that could potentially get Dan to reconsider whether he wants to keep Bruce on, staff and payroll or not. I've said this all along. The only way you get Bruce out of here is if there is a guy that comes along that Dan wants so bad that says, I need Bruce out of here or else. That is the only way that takes place, because I can't envision, and I don't think there are too many guys out there that supersede Bruce in Dan's mind. I think Tomlin might be on a short list of guys that he would do that for, because Tomlin has such a presence. And I think that's why that would be one of the few instances where that could actually take place.
Now, I just recently tuned in, so I don't know if you might have already spoke about this already, but with the reports that's going out as far as Trent being put on the non-injured football list, does that sound like he's not going to accrue that year that he's looking to get by, when he returned kind of late here?
Yeah, I think he missed the boat on that by a week, because when he came back, the Redskins put him on a list that would have prohibited him from being active, and he needed to be active for at least it's really 6 games, but 8 games to not have a gripe. But I think, like I said, when it's all said and done, it doesn't matter, because if the Redskins trade him, Trent's looking for new money anyway. Right. He's already said that he's not playing for no guaranteed money. So the fact that the remaining years, whether it's 2 or 1 left on his deal, both of them have no guaranteed money. Trent's not going to play for another team under a contract with no guaranteed money. So whether it's 1 year, 2 years left, it doesn't really matter. He's either going to get a 3-year extension on the deal that's currently left, or he's going to just rip that old deal up and they're going to give him a brand new 3-year deal or so wherever he goes. So at this point, it really doesn't matter if he accrues that season or not.
Got you. Well, man, I appreciate you even taking my call again, brother. Keep it up with the Redskins videos, man. We look for them things every day. Yep. And much love, man. Much love.
Hey, no doubt, Dane, man. Hey, appreciate you, Dane, man. Take care, bro.
All right, brother.
So, yeah, Tomlin is one of the few guys that I think would have the clout and the say-so to get Dan to move on Bruce, but I just can't see him coming here. He's too good of a coach. The Steelers, it would take, I don't even know if the Steelers would even listen, to be honest with you. And even if they were listening, do you know what it would take in compensation to trade for him? Because they're not going to fire Tomlin. They're just not going to do that in Pittsburgh. He's too good of a coach. You're seeing it this year with all the obstacles that have been put in front of him, all of the adversity that he's faced in Pittsburgh this year. And for them to be 500, are you serious? Come on, man. There's no way that Tomlin's out of here. So it's not happening. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with? Oh, man, your phone is way too low. Can't even hear you, bro. You're going to have to call back. So, I mean, it's a pipe dream. I can't really see any instance in which Bruce isn't back. I just can't. You know, and I'm listening to people that are trying to convince me otherwise. I just don't see it. I just don't see Bruce going anywhere anytime soon, to be honest with you. You know, but at some point, you've got to think that if the Redskins continue to be this bad, that something's got to give. But I don't know if that happens this year. So anyway, that's going to do it for your man, Louie T. Man, I thank you guys for joining me on such short notice. I meant to put out a video yesterday letting you know I was doing this live today, but it didn't happen. And so I'm glad you guys still found me anyway and joined me. I appreciate you guys chopping it up with me for the last, 40 whatever minutes and getting you ready for Thursday Night Football. We'll be back after that game, and I hopefully will drop another Redskins video at some point this weekend, especially if anything takes place. But there are a couple of things that I do want to address, and maybe I'll do that in a video over the weekend before the Redskins take on the Jets next week. So being that this is a non-Redskins week in terms of football and they're on a bye week, plenty of time for me to drop more Redskins content. So expect something coming down the pipeline, whether it's this weekend or early next week. You'll hear from me in some capacity, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Remember, I am a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington Redskins. Until next time, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the Louie T Network if you haven't already done so, and share this video as well. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Take care.
Louie